This video was made possible by Thunderbird Perch. They can decode your thoughts now. Let that sink in. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, like a Philip K. Dick novel, but it's becoming reality. We are learning to read the brain in ways that were unimaginable just a few years ago. New research is showing this in a powerful way. Scientists have figured out how to decode silent speech. They can literally take the words you are forming in your head, without ever speaking them out loud, and turn them into text on a screen. This is a monumental leap forward for a field called brain-computer interfaces, or BCI. So what is a brain-computer interface? It's exactly what it sounds like. A BCI is a system that creates a direct pathway between the human brain and an external device, like a computer. Your brain is a complex machine that runs on electrical signals. Every time you think, move, or feel, neurons are firing and creating specific patterns of activity. Electrodes, which are tiny sensors, can be placed on the scalp or even implanted inside the brain to pick up on these signals. The recent research from the teams at Harvard and MGH represents a huge step forward. It's not just an incremental improvement, it's a qualitative leap in what BCIs can do. Previous systems were often slow and clunky, relying on users to imagine moving a cursor to type out letters one by one. It was functional, but painfully slow. This new approach is different. Instead of focusing on hand movements, the scientists targeted the brain's speech center directly. They realized that when we decide to speak, our brain generates a complex set of commands to orchestrate the dozens of muscles in our vocal tract. These commands are incredibly detailed and happen almost instantly. The key was to intercept those commands, for they bumain by. Even drone. Sag. Bechom. Sundain bran. Bors mein brimos. Saulalos dixin. But the researchers implanted tiny, flexible electrode arrays, about the size of a small postage stamp, into the speech-related areas of the motor cortex. These arrays can listen in on the activity of hundreds of neurons at once. When a person intended to speak a word, the electrodes would capture the unique neural firing patterns associated with that word's sounds. The data was then fed into a powerful computer system. This system, using what's known as a decoder, learned to map the neural signals to the specific phonemes. Ba, ah, ta. The results were astonishing. The system could decode intended speech at a rate of nearly 80 words per minute, which is getting very close to the speed of natural conversation. For context, previous typing-based BCIs topped out at around 10 to 20 words per minute. This is a 3 to 4-fold increase in speed, which makes communication feel much more fluid and natural. The accuracy was also impressive, with a word error rate that was low enough for effective communication. The system essentially functions as a thought-to-text stenographer, translating the brain's speech plan directly into words on a screen. This breakthrough was made possible by a combination of things. Better hardware in the form of more sensitive electrodes, a smarter strategy of targeting the speech cortex, and more advanced machine learning algorithms to do the heavy lifting of decoding. The computer doesn't just guess one phoneme at a time, it uses a language model to predict the most likely sequence of words, much like the autocorrect on your smartphone. This helps it correct errors and fill in gaps, making the final output much more coherent. It shows how a deep understanding of neuroscience, combined with cutting-edge engineering and computer science, can unlock capabilities that were once purely in the realm of science fiction. What's truly mind-blowing is that this isn't just theory, it's working for real people right now. This isn't a parlor trick, it's a new form of communication that is fundamentally changing lives and pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible for human consciousness and technology to do together. The real power of this technology, at least for now, is its incredible potential to help people. Imagine a lifeline, people in wheelchairs smiling at a computer that says, "Hello world." Imagine being fully conscious, with a mind full of thoughts, stories, and feelings, but being trapped inside a body that cannot speak or move. This is the devastating reality for people with conditions like amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, or those who have suffered a brainstem stroke. They are locked in. Their voice is gone. For these individuals, the Harvard MGH research isn't just a cool scientific experiment, it's a lifeline. It's a key that could unlock the prison of silence that has confined them. The study involved participants who had lost the ability to speak due to neurological damage. 2 of them have now integrated the BCI into their daily lives, using it as their primary means of communication. This is a profound testament to the technology's effectiveness. One participant, a woman who had been unable to speak for years, was able to use the system to talk to her family and caregivers. She could express her needs, share her feelings. Here's where things get even more interesting and, frankly, a little spooky. The most surprising discovery wasn't just decoding intended speech, the words someone was trying to say out loud. The system was also able to pick up on inner speech. This is the silent monologue running in your head, the words you think to yourself without intending to speak them. Researchers asked participants to count silently, and the computer decoded that silent counting. The signal was weaker and harder to detect, but it was there. This is a huge deal. The brain uses many of the same neural circuits for thinking in words as for speaking aloud. When you talk to yourself in your head, part of the brain simulates speaking without sending the final command to your muscles. It's like a ghost of speech, and sensitive electrodes can detect it. This opens new possibilities and serious ethical questions. The distinction between intended speech and inner speech is crucial. Intended speech is active and directed. It's a conscious decision to communicate. Inner speech can be passive, fragmented, automatic. While the immediate focus of BCI technology is on medical therapy, you have to be, naive to think it's going to stop there. The potential for this technology to expand beyond the clinic is enormous. We're already seeing the first wave with simple consumer devices. Headbands, earbuds. They claim to read your brain waves using non-invasive EEG, help you sleep better, help you focus more deeply, guide you in meditation. Very basic compared to implanted devices, but a sign of what's to come. The goal is augmentation, not just restoration. Imagine a future where you don't need a keyboard or a mouse or even a voice assistant. Think a command. Your device executes it. Compose an email, search the web, send a text message by silently verbalizing the words in your head. A seamless, frictionless interface between mind and the digital world, controlling augmented reality, controlling virtual reality, with thoughts. No more clumsy hand controllers. The world shifts and responds to your inner commands. It would change how we work, play, learn, create. And then there's the really far-out stuff. Brain-to-brain communication. Researchers have already sent simple signals from one brain to another over the internet. Rudimentary, digital telepathy for a yes or no. One of the most fascinating aspects of this research is how it bumps up against the limits of its own approach, and in doing so, accidentally validates some very old ideas. The new BCI systems are amazing at decoding speech, but as mentioned, they struggle with unstructured nonverbal thought. When the participants' minds wandered, the decoders returned noise. Why? Because a huge portion of human thought isn't made of words. We think in images, we think in emotions, we think in spatial relationships, we think in abstract concepts. If your mind primarily uses pictures to solve a problem, a decoder trained on the brain's verbal engine is going to come up empty. This limitation actually points to a profound truth that many ancient, contemplative practices have been exploring for thousands of years. Traditions like Yoga Nidra, a form of guided meditation that leads to a state between wakefulness and sleep, are specifically designed to move awareness beyond the chattering verbal mind. The goal is often to reach a state of inner silence, where the constant stream of words quiets down, and a deeper nonverbal layer of consciousness can emerge. In a way, both the BCI scientists and the ancient yogis are arriving at the same conclusion from opposite directions. In the future, a BCI could become the ultimate biofeedback tool, showing deep focus, confirming meditative brainwave patterns, and helping people learn inner skills in a visible, measurable way. With any technology this powerful, you have to look at the dark side. It's not enough to be excited about the potential. We have to be brutally honest about the risks. The ethical questions surrounding BCIs are massive. We need to start talking about them now, not after the technology is everywhere. The most obvious question is about privacy. If a device can read your inner speech, who gets to see that data? Who owns your thoughts? Can your employer require you to use a BCI to monitor your focus at work? Could a government use this technology to scan for subversive thoughts? It sounds dystopian, but it's a real possibility we need to confront. Then there's the risk of errors. These decoders are not perfect. They make mistakes. In a medical context, a wrong word might be frustrating, but in a high-stakes situation it could be disastrous. Imagine using a BCI to control a vehicle or heavy machinery. A decoding error could lead to a catastrophic accident. What if the system misinterprets a fleeting, intrusive thought as a genuine command? We will need incredibly robust safety protocols and easy ways for users to override the system or correct its mistakes instantly. Let's be clear, your neural data is the most intimate data that will ever exist. We need a new legal principle, a right to neuro rights, that explicitly protects the privacy and integrity of a person's brain activity. Think about today's free-for-data model. Now apply that to a BCI. Would you let a company scan your inner monologue for a free thought-to-text service? They could analyze passing thoughts about being hungry to serve you an ad, detect anxiety, and try to sell you medication. The commodification of our inner lives is a line we should never cross. So, where does all this leave us? Standing at a major crossroads. This technology is not inherently good or evil, it's a tool, and its impact will depend entirely on how we choose to use it. One path leads to incredible healing, restored communication, new ways for humans to learn and create. It's a path where technology serves humanity. The other path leads to surveillance, exploitation, a loss of personal freedom. Our job, as a society, is to think carefully and deliberately about which path we want to take. We must guide this work with wisdom and foresight, and a deep respect for human dignity. Even with all the risks, it's impossible not to feel a sense of hope. For people who are currently trapped by paralysis and unable to speak, this technology is already a miracle. It is giving them their lives back. For the rest of us, it holds the promise of new ways to interact with the world, and even with ourselves. It might give us new tools to focus our minds, enhance our learning, and maybe even deepen our understanding of consciousness itself. In the end, we have to be both optimistic and vigilant. If we get this right, the future could be incredibly bright. But getting it right means putting people first, prioritizing privacy, ensuring fairness, and never losing sight of the human values that matter most. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share. Think about it. A new world awaits.